Allow yourself to create freely. Allow yourself to create freely. What's going on, guys? It's your brother O.T.G. The O.T.G's for Overtime Grind. Hardly seen, but I'm always around. And today I got the Akai Force. I got the MPC-1 as a sound module going through the Roland SP404. I have the SP404 routed into the Force. I have the Force as the main out. We're doing all the sequencing inside of the Force, like we'll call it like it's like the computer or the DAW, right? And so you can see I'll put my drums, do my drums inside of the Force, but a lot of my other sounds are going to come from, I'm going to record them audio, so I'm going to print them. You know, what does that mean? I'm going to add some effects through the SP404 to the sound that's coming out of the MPC-1. The sound that is coming out of the MPC-1 is going to be colored by the SP404. You know, not only with the effects, but, you know, how the outputs of the SP404 sound. Then we're going to run that into the Akai Force, and we're going to just record audio. So there's no MIDI being recorded other than what you see on the step sequencer. Everything else is going to be audio only. Kind of like recording an instrument or recording something of that nature. And this goes perfect to what I wanted to talk to you guys about. You know, it is March 20th, 2024. And you know, for the first couple months of this year, I haven't really been making any videos. I've tried a couple live streams. I've tried a couple different configurations of how to set my studio up. You know, I've been settling on gear. That's why I'm using the MPC-1. I like to travel with the 1. I like to travel with the 404. But I like to, when everything comes out to the Force, it's all going to be audio anyway, and then I'm transfer over into Ableton. So being able to bounce my Force project down, maybe record a whole song in the Force, get it all arranged, get it all set up, then drop it in Ableton and go from there. It's the perfect 1-2 for me. And it might not be the perfect 1-2 for you, you know, and that's part of what I want to talk about. Watching YouTube and watching a bunch of different producers and seeing the advice that they give, you know, you can't really hate on anybody's advice. You can't really hate on anybody's workflow. I mean, you can, but I'll be 44 next month, so I don't really got that much hate in my heart. I don't really have that much negativity for anybody else. You know, I don't really have anything to prove to anybody else. And what I've earned for myself, I earn for myself. Therefore, you know, a lot of the stuff that I come and talk to you guys about is really just stuff that's off the art and things that I think will help you in the future. You know, and one of those things is just creating freely. You know, pushing to the limits and finding a workflow that matters. I know that a lot of people were watching the whole MPC debacle a couple months ago. I don't really know how long ago it was, but with EAC and him saying the inputs or the outputs or converters and things of that nature, him saying people choose workflow over sound. All of these things are real things, you know. And however your workflow is the way that your workflow is. You know, if you want to choose an easier workflow, that's up to you. If you want to choose a methodology that doesn't make sense to everybody else, that's up to you too. You know, the method that I like is I like to have strong audio. I like to have big sounds. I like my sounds to sound full. You know, that's part of what I feel like you get from utilizing hardware over software. You know, I feel like when I utilize software, it takes a whole lot of work to fatten the sound up when the sound should already be fat. And that's just my personal opinion, you know. And it's okay to have a personal opinion. You know, I know there's a lot of people who feel like there's only one right way, there's only this way. And I guess if that's what you're trying to create, but part of producing is producing something that you like, producing something that you're okay with, producing things that make you happy, producing things that you feel sound good. And you never know who's going to like what you're creating until you create it. And you never know if you're going to define a new style or create something new that could be a trailblazer or create something that could be inspiring to somebody until you create it. And the only way to do that is to create. You understand? And if you are putting yourself inside of all of these boxes every day, then it's going to become difficult for you to create consistently. You know, there are certain things that can be taught, how the software is used or how the hardware is used. You know, how to access different parts of the hardware, how to route audio. You know, people could teach you how to, you know, different tips and things that can make your efficiency higher. People could tell you different things that can speed up the process or help you get a better sound out of the tools that you're using. You know, there's basic things to understand, like if you're making hip hop, a 4/4 pattern, 16th notes, 32nd notes, triplets, you know, which sounds work together, sound selection, all of these different things. But you also have to understand that YouTube and the internet create a space where everybody meets, and it's people from all over the world. You know, I could share, for example, you know, I was on a YouTuber's live and I said something in the comments, and the way this guy talks where he's from and the way I talk where I'm from, our dialect and just the way that we talk, period, it clashes. It clashes all the time. You know, I'm 44. I'll be 44 April 30th. I would assume this guy's younger than me. And so when I come into people's chats or do certain things, I try to be respectful. You know, I could type really fast. I have a multi-screen setup. I have multiple computers set up. You know, this is my place of business. This is where I work. This is where I feed my family. This is where I've been at for the last couple years. So I'm very familiar with my space. I'm very familiar with what I want to say and how I say things. And, you know, long story short, me and this guy, he ended up blocking me out of the chat. I got 100 different profiles, you know, so I still respect, and we just got on the wrong foot, and I still respect what he's trying to do. So I came in under a different profile. And just the kind of the way that he talks is kind of off-putting, right? But I also know that's just how they talk where they're from. And I also know that he must not have been around people where I'm from, because if he was around people where I'm from, he would know we don't talk like that. And all that talking like that over the internet, that's not even cool. That's not even tough. Like, that's not man stuff. That's not respectable. But I understand where they're from. That's how things go. You get it? So I say that to say that when you're on this internet, you have to understand that there's people from all over the world who stumble across your content, stumble across your music. You know, there's people from all over the world who have a different interpretation of what they think this sounds like, a different interpretation of what they would do with an MPC, a Force, a SP404. You know, they have different interpretations of what mixing, mastering, and all these different things are, based on the style of music they like, based on where they're from, based on how music is consumed, based on do they listen in cars or do they listen on the phone, do they Bluetooth everything. All of these different things, even from where or how people find new music. You're always going to run into people who feel like whatever it is that you're doing could be done a different way. And that's okay. You understand? That's okay. There's a big difference from how people create music in the Midwest to the East Coast, from the East Coast to the West Coast, from the West Coast to the South, from America to the UK, from the UK to Japan, from Japan to China. All of us are on this internet together. And if you get into a place of where you're trying to create something that you think is going to please everybody, or you're trying to conform yourself into a way to please everybody, you're no longer creating freely. I've been in sessions with some of the greats, and when watching these guys create their songs, when watching people create the music for them, when watching songs being written that at the time, it's a process that's ever molding. But one thing I could say is that people create freely. They come in and they try this bass line. They'll print this bass line out and they'll use that. They'll create the beat. We'll write whole songs to one beat, and then we'll come back in and maybe call in a bass player. We'll call in somebody to come freestyle the piano notes. The beat that you're hearing in this video might evolve to this piano becoming a whole chord section after 2 minutes. This bass line that is super simple may turn into just for the bass line through the chorus, where maybe we put an 808 during the verses, or maybe we have a guy come in and play his bass guitar during the verses, and then this just comes in certain parts. The kick drum may get replaced, the hi-hats might get replaced. We're not married to any of the sounds. So when we're creating, there is no fear in printing the sounds. You understand what I'm saying? The final marriage of sound comes when we are creating the final product. When we get to the final product, when we are working up to the final product, just feel free to create. Once you start locking yourself into invisible barriers and trying to, remember all of these things so you could please certain people and do certain things, now you just become a replication of somebody else. And that's okay if that's what your aim is. And some people aim to do that. That's fine. I can't tell. There's this old saying that says you can't tell a man how he likes his model. You can't tell a man if he likes, in this day and time, if he likes big women, small women, light-skinned women, dark-skinned women, white women, if he might even like women at all. Does he like short women, little people? You can't tell a man how he likes his model. That's something personal to him. You can't tell a man how to drive his car. You can't tell a man how to handle his family. You can't tell a man any of this stuff. There's another saying that says, no man is your friend, no man is your enemy, every man is your teacher. And so in all things, you can find ways to learn, get better, things that you might implement, things that you might do. But you just kind of need to have this understanding that amidst all of this stuff, you still need to find the freedom inside of yourself to create freely, and to build in a way that makes sense to you. I know a lot of people don't like the word workflow because a lot of people don't like the word work. A lot of people are looking for things to be done So they utilize, you might utilize the computer because you have a visual EQ and it helps you because you haven't trained your ear. You might like to use this plugin because it has better presets and it doesn't require you to have to turn knobs or add effects or do anything. It's easier. You might like this DAW because the sound that comes out of the other end of the DAW sounds as if everything sounds great, which helps you not to have to mix. People like things easier, and that's okay too. What's going to push you far is your work and your work ethic. You could sit on the videos all day and get bunches and bunches of views. You can have thousands of people agree in the comments. But, if your music isn't created for you or in the way that you like or created in the terms that you want, you may still find some unhappiness and you still may find yourself searching for something. The way to find confidence in production is to just create freely. Let it evolve into things. Practice every day helps your workflow, helps you find presets, helps you get familiar with the knobs that you're turning, helps you just get familiar and speed up with efficiency. It will train your ear and help your ear get better to mixing and getting your sound together. But at the end of the day, you still need to create in ways that are inspiring to you, and eventually they will inspire others, whether it's writers, whether it's yourself as a songwriter, whether it's producers, whether it's music supervisors for television shows, whether it's A&Rs. Creating freely will help you build your confidence and get you the music that you want and help you become more confident in the music that you create. Hopefully you found some value in this video. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. Make sure you check out the links in the description. And like I said, I just wanted to talk to you. New version of videos coming. It's your brother.